be presenting this empirical piece of research on behalf of my colleagues, also my co-authors, Ruxandra Foloștina and Cristina Siriopoulou-Gheli. First of all, I would like to make a disclosure. This piece of research was funded by the Erasmus Project Autism Play Therapy for Movement, and it was approved by the Research Ethics Committee of University of Bucharest. And during this session, we will be presenting some partial results given the time constraints. Our topic is regarding sedentary behavior and quality of life in autistic children. This topic was increasingly important in the last years due to the COVID-19 pandemic situation. What do we understand by sedentary behavior? We understand any activity that is conducted in a sitting or reclining position. Regarding children, the most prevalent sedentary activities are screen-based activities such as video games or tablet games, but activities as reading or socializing on a chair, as well as sitting in classes, are also considered sedentary behaviors. The increasing time spent in sedentary behaviors can be detrimental for the emotional and physical health of children. And previous work has shown that children with disabilities, including autistic children, are more sedentary than typically developing children. The time spent in sedentary behavior can impact the quality of life. In this framework, quality of life is seen as a child's satisfaction level in regards to their primary functioning environments, such as the home environment, the community, and the school. We know from previous work that in typically developing children, sedentary behavior, especially screen time, is inversely correlated to quality of life. And especially to health-related quality of life, because sedentary behavior has, as I mentioned before, long-term health consequences. It can lead to social isolation, to weight gain, and more serious health-related problems. In regards to children with autism, given the fact that some of them may need additional visual stimulation, for example, we are unsure whether sedentary behavior is positively or negatively correlated with quality of life. And this is one of our study's main aims. Before moving forward, I would briefly like to present some barriers to optimizing physical activity and reducing sedentary behavior in children with autism. First of all, the restrictions associated with the COVID-19 pandemic has affected everyone, including children with all sorts of disabilities. Additionally, children with disabilities, including autism, face community-based barriers, such as accessibility to suitable places to spend their time. It is hard for them to find in the community a proper playground or a suitable, welcoming social environment. Another barrier can be the cost of structured physical activities conducted outside of their home, which can encourage spending time in sedentary behaviors. We also have family-related barriers, such as the parents' level of physical activity and disorder-related barriers. For example, autistic children may have poor motor skills or may lack the motivation to engage in active interactions with other people or outside of their home. If the degree of disability is higher, they are dependent on a caregiver, and that restricts their possibility to conduct physical activities outside of their home, thus increasing the amount of time spent in sedentary behaviors. As I was mentioning earlier, we are unsure whether there is a positive or a negative correlation between sedentary behavior and quality of life in autistic children, especially in Romania and Greece, where the studies regarding this topic are scarce. In Romania, as far as we know, studies focused on cognitive performance in autistic children, and the topic of quality of life has not been investigated. Countries are Eastern European countries, so we anticipate that there are some similarities, especially regarding their educational systems, because the both countries have give autistic children the possibility to study in inclusive schools and in special schools also. However, in terms of between country differences, we anticipate that Greek children will be more sedentary than Romanian children with autism, mirroring their parents' sedentary lifestyle, as shown by East European Commission reports, who emphasize that generally countries such as Greece, who have warm weather, and people tend to relax more. We also expect that sedentary behaviors in children with autism to positively correlate with their quality of life, seen as satisfaction level, because many sedentary behaviors are self-reinforcing for autistic children. With regards to methodology, this preliminary exploratory research included 83 Romanian parents and 42 Greek parents who have autistic children, and who completed measures regarding socio-demographic information, their children's quality of life, and ratings on time spent engaged in sedentary behaviors. We had a cross-sectional and correlational design, and on the right side of the slides, we can observe the main socio-demographic variables for each sample. A couple of things that I would like to draw attention upon is the living environment. If in the Romanian sample, approximately 55% of children lived in big urban environments, in Greece, the vast majority of sample was from big urban cities. Most parents that participated in this research are females, mothers of children with autism. Regarding the instruments, besides the socio-demographic information, parents completed all the measures related to their child quality of life and sedentary behavior. The scale used to investigate the quality of life had 24 items, score on a 5-point Likert scale from 0 to 4, and it included ratings of inferred child quality of life in the past week. The sedentary behavior questionnaire we used investigates the amount of time each child spends daily on weekdays and then on weekends engaged in various sedentary behaviors, such as navigating on the smartphone or tablet, watching TV, sitting while listening to music, doing homework at the desk, playing a musical instrument, sitting on a chair, and so on. A vast majority of sedentary activities. and the parents rated for their child how much time their child spends engaged in each of these behaviors on weekdays and during weekends, from not at all to 6 hours or more each day. Regarding the procedure, we performed the translations and back translations after the pandemic restrictions lifted off and children returned to school. The participation was anonymous and voluntary, and the parents received no rewards for participating in this empirical research. So, moving on to the results, overall, we found that the QOL levels were reported to be higher for Romanian children than for Greek children. And the main differences were with regards to physical related quality of life, emotional quality of life, and self-esteem related quality of life. Additionally, Romanian children on an average spend less time engaged in sedentary behaviors compared with Greek children, as their parents reported. In both countries, there was a positive correlation between quality of life and daily sedentary behaviors on weekdays and also on weekends. As you can see in this table, on average, children in Romania, autistic children from Romania, spend about 200 minutes engaged in daily sedentary activities during an ordinary working day, and about 217 minutes on weekends days. For Greek children, the same averages increased to 403 minutes during weekdays and 439 minutes during weekends. We also found that sedentary behaviors on weekdays predicted the children's QOL as reported by their parents. Given the fact that this is a cross-sectional research, it is a bit difficult to interpret such results. The significant cross-country differences regarding the amount of time children spend in sedentary behaviors can be explained by authentic parenting variability in raising children with autism in each country. Additionally, most Greek sample lived in big urban environments, as I mentioned earlier, and this gives less opportunities for physical activity for children, and if the opportunities are there, most likely they are more expensive, and this can be a barrier leading to more sedentary behaviors. Another explanation can be that children with autism may prefer sedentary behaviors to other types of activities, and for parents this may be a way of preventing behavioral challenges in their children. Also, we used self-report measures that the parents completed, and there may be some memory bias of parents reporting the results. If, for example, they are bothered by the fact that their child spends most of their time engaged in screen time usage, they may over-report the minutes the child spends in that activity, and they may underreport the time the child spends in other activities, such as playing with the ball or making arts and crafts. As anticipating, there was a positive correlation between sedentary behaviors and quality of life in both samples in autistic children. And we believe this is probably due to the short-term calming effects that sedentary behaviors have in these children, and to disorder-related characteristics such as short motivation for social interactions, for example. Additionally, our measure of quality of life did not emphasize health-related aspects, but behavioral indicators of a child's well-being and satisfaction. So it makes sense that they would prefer to, that they would like to spend time in such activities. Therefore, moving to practical recommendations, parents and educators could try to combine sedentary activities with dynamic ones to avoid long-term negative consequences if sedentary behaviors are increasing in a certain child. For example, if a child likes to make arts and crafts on a chair, that chair can be transformed into a gimbal or a static bicycle, allowing the child to pedal and providing supplementary physical input while doing a static activity such as arts and crafts or playing an online game. We also found that sedentary behaviors during weekdays predict the child's QOL, but not sedentary behaviors during the weekends. And we believe that this may be due to the fact that after school, sedentary behaviors provide relaxation moments and distance from the overstimulating activities throughout the day. The children that were included in this research had structured daily schedules at kindergarten and formal schooling system. So it is necessary to separate screen time overuse from sedentary hobbies that could optimize, for example, fine motor skills or attention, in which case these sedentary activities could be combined with active ones. For example, if a child prefers to listen to music while standing on the bed, we could encourage him to listen to music standing up or dancing. Of course, such a research has many limitations, and we cannot generalize the results we obtained, and it is difficult to find an explanation given the correlational design and the self-report measures that were filled by the parents. We did not have direct access to the input and the view of the children. But overall, the results we obtained were consistent with previous existing evidence, and we could deduct some recommendations for improving quality of life, recommendations targeted to parents and to educators, because they also have a main role in engaging autistic children in physical activities. Thank you so much for your attention, and if you have any questions, I am available to answer.